Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something pretty mind-bending, a powerful seminar from Dr. Wayne Dyer and Dr. Christiane Northrup all about the mind's incredible role in our health. Their big idea? That our thoughts literally have the power to physically change our bodies.
You know, this quote right here is really the foundation for everything they talk about. They're basically saying this isn't just some nice, fluffy phrase. They believe it's a deep truth about how reality actually works, that the way we choose to look at the world can literally influence it.
So that leads to the big question, right? Can a single thought physically change your body? It's a huge claim, and it really pushes back against a lot of conventional ideas about medicine. To tackle this, they break down 3 big myths about where sickness really comes from. Okay, so first up, they go right after this idea that a lot of us have heard, that things like depression are just a chemical problem, a broken brain that we have no control over. But they argue we've got way more power than we think. And they don't just say it, they back it up. Dr. Dyer points to research where patients were actually trained to stop focusing on depressive thoughts and instead to focus on happy memories. And get this, the MRI scans showed real physical changes in their brain chemistry. The big takeaway here is that we are absolutely not just stuck with our brain's default settings.
So what's the science behind this? Well, it's a concept called neuroplasticity. The basic idea is that our brain isn't some fixed, static thing. We can actually rewire it. The speakers have a great little phrase for it: fire it to wire it. What that means is you have to consciously think different thoughts over and over again to build new, healthier pathways in your brain.
And here's how they say you can actually do it. It's a simple 4-step process. The whole thing is about becoming an observer of your own mind. So when a negative thought pops up, you don't fight it. You just notice it. You label it a misfiring, and then consciously shift your focus to something positive. They present this as a skill you can learn, not some state you're just stuck in.
Okay, so once we've established this idea of internal control, the speakers kind of zoom out. They start to look at the bigger picture, and they really question whether the modern medical system is set up to create genuine wellness. And this is where it gets pretty heavy. Dr. Northrup makes the case that the influence of big pharma is so pervasive that it's actually hard to find truly unbiased medical info. I mean, she points to a former editor of the New England Journal of Medicine, one of the most respected journals out there, who apparently said it's just not possible anymore to believe a lot of the clinical research that gets published. That's a huge statement. This slide does a great job of showing the 2 different ways of looking at health. On one side, you've got the standard Newtonian model. It sees the body as a machine, and when you get sick, it's just a broken part that needs a drug or surgery to fix it. But on the other side, there's this quantum model they're pushing for. It sees the body as more of an energy field, where sickness is a disturbance, often caused by our own consciousness. And if that's the case, then the treatment isn't a pill, it's our thoughts and our beliefs. And if you follow that logic, it changes how you see things like routine screenings. They argue that our constant focus on screening actually creates a culture of fear. Dr. Northrup brings up studies suggesting that a lot of the conditions we find this way, like certain types of breast or prostate cancers, probably would have never caused any problems in a person's lifetime. So what are we doing? We're basically turning perfectly healthy people into anxious patients.
All right, so this brings us to their 3rd big myth-busting point, and this one's a doozy. It's a direct challenge to the very foundation of modern medicine, the germ theory of disease. The idea that tiny outside invaders are the main cause of all our illnesses. And to make their case, they pull out this incredible quote, supposedly from Louis Pasteur himself, the father of germ theory, on his deathbed. The argument is that we've been focusing on the wrong thing. It's not about the external germ. It's about strengthening our body's internal environment, what they call the terrain. So what's the bottom line here? It's not about trying to live in a sterile bubble and avoid all germs. It's about cultivating a strong internal garden. I mean, think about it. They point out that 80% of people who test positive for the herpes virus never show any symptoms. So why is that? The virus is there, but their immune system, their terrain, is strong enough to keep it in check. Dr. Northrup then takes this terrain theory and applies it to vaccines. She draws a pretty stark contrast. A generation ago, a child might have gotten, say, 4 immunizations. But today, she says that number could be as high as 125. Her question is, could this heavy load on a still developing immune system, the terrain, be a factor in the rise of conditions we're seeing on the autism spectrum? So let's pull all this together. If your brain isn't broken, if the medical system has its limits,
And if the germ isn't the real enemy, then where does true healing actually come from? Well, their answer is really simple, and it's really direct. It comes from within. It comes from your own consciousness.
And to really nail this point down, they bring up this absolutely fascinating study from Harvard. It was published in Psychological Science. Researchers took 84 maids who worked in 7 different hotels. Now, they split them into 2 groups. The only thing they did differently, and this is the only variable, was they told one group that their daily work was actually great exercise and that it met the Surgeon General's recommendations for an active lifestyle. The other group? They were told nothing at all. Okay, get ready for this because the results were just incredible. After only 4 weeks, with absolutely no change in their behavior, no change in their diet or their work, the group that was simply told their work was exercise saw significant drops in weight, blood pressure, and body fat. Just their belief literally changed their physical reality. It's wild. And if that wasn't enough, this next study from Yale really drives the point home. Just look at this chart. It shows that, yeah, having low cholesterol and exercising regularly adds years to your life. We know that. But the simple belief that your life has meaning, that adds an average of 7 years. That's more than the other physical factors combined. And this connects directly to the powerful work of the psychiatrist Viktor Frankl. He was a prisoner in Auschwitz, and he wrote about his experience. He observed that the people who survived those horrific conditions weren't always the physically strongest. They were the ones who held on to a sense of meaning, a reason to keep going. He saw that when someone lost that meaning, their body often just gave up soon after. So all of this leaves us with one last, really provocative question to think about. The message here isn't just about thinking positive. It's about being an active, conscious creator of your own health. It completely reframes the whole idea of health. It's not something that just happens to us. It's something we are actively building every single moment with the power of our own minds.